So the ATF in Boston is urging security at religious institutions after a rise in arson cases. With all the stuff that I've covered on this channel about the threats facing churches in America right now and why our alert level at churches are at severe, the highest level, all that we've heard is from ATF in Boston. All right, let's talk about what ATF Boston has to say about why churches need to take enhanced security measures, and we'll talk about why their response is, I don't mean to laugh, but our federal government's kind of pissing me off right now. So let's just talk about it real quick. So ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, is urging houses of worship, which would be your church in New England, to enhance security measures following a spike in arson incidents. Now, there was a recent case of suspected arson at a church in Franklin, Massachusetts on the 23rd of October. And then there was a vandalism of burning Pride and Black Lives Matter flags at a Kingston church in July. I don't know why they threw that one in there. Now, those incidents where they're burning pride flags and Black Lives Matter flags at churches are usually being done by evangelicals that are upset about that church not adhering to the Bible. And so that's not really a terror issue. That is, that's something else. Anyway, I'll let you guys fight it out in the comments. Throw what you think of that in the comments down below. All right. So because of somebody burning some flags, but then also this massive fire at this other church in Franklin, right? The ATF is recommending that you upgrade your surveillance systems, which is what we've been saying for a very long time here. Remember, every newsletter I put out says this is your reminder to get a 4K video system, but it's nice for the federal government to finally catch up. And they said restrict facility access. It's a church. Remember the thing I keep telling you is don't turn your church into a bunker because people are going to come to Christ and you want them to come into your church. You're just going to have to work a little bit harder as a security team member, but the ATF wants you to restrict access. Think about that. The government wants you to restrict access to your church. They said to increase engagement with law enforcement, which some of you guys have great law enforcement agencies to work with. Some of you are in areas where there's just not enough cops to do anything, and so you're kind of on your own. And they want you to raise awareness among your congregants, which is a good idea. But I have to ask you, out of all you people in New England, have you even heard that there was a raised alert level from the ATF, or is this the first you're hearing about it from me? I'm suspecting that for a lot of you, you're hearing about it for the first time from me. That's because our government does a horrible job at letting you know about the terrorist threats that are going on. Now, we're just going to stop right there because that's all the ATF put out. Now, let me tell you what we have been saying for months over here at Christian Warrior Training about why we're at enhanced security threat level. We've got multiple things that I have been putting out to you on our weekly newsletter about terrorism updates for churches specifically. The first was we had the Election Day active shooter event that was thwarted where an Afghan immigrant was arrested for plotting and organizing an active shooter terror event at a polling place for November 5th. Again, many polling places are at churches. There was a thwarted ISIS follower attack where they were going to target synagogues on October 7th in the New York City area. We had information about an attack that was thwarted on the East Coast that was never put out to anybody, and another one in the Rocky Mountain region. We have Iranian hit squads in the United States that was confirmed by the ODNI, the Office Directorate of National Intelligence, that they were going to target former President Trump and that they were armed with man-portable air defense systems. You have a foreign government bringing terrorists into the United States to kill a former, now future president. I've shown you where there are 30,000 Hezbollah agents in the United States. That's because we did an interview with a Joint Terrorism Task Force agent assigned to Hezbollah who told us that his estimate of Hezbollah agents in the United States were 30,000 and that their main targets when they were to be activated was going to be churches and synagogues. He also let us know that those agents would be released upon the United States for those terror attacks if their leader Nasrallah was killed, which he was back in September by Israel, or we went to war with Iran, which you can see the tensions going on right now. So you can see that that might be an issue for us at churches. We had the October 7th anniversary attacks, of course, where Israel was attacked by Hamas, and many Hamas followers are taking out their anger at Israel by attacking churches, which we saw in Boston, or synagogues. The Department of Homeland Security has been warning of terrorist exploitation that's occurring in migrant flows into the United States. And they talked significantly, DHS talked significantly about terrorists that had slipped through these migrant flows into the United States, and that they stopped at least 422 individuals that were on federal terrorist watch lists. And we don't know how many came in. And then, of course, we had the urgent threat alert from FBI back for October 7th only. And there they said, hey, October 7th is a big date. Synagogues and Muslim mosques were going to get attacked. And nowhere did they mention Christian churches, even though ISIS put out an alert to all their followers to attack Christian churches and Jewish synagogues. And of course, in that DHS alert, who did they blame? Not terrorists, right-wing extremists. I cannot wait for Trump to get into power so that we can shut some of this down. We all know where the terrorism is coming from. It's not right-wing extremism. It is Middle Eastern extremism. And then, of course, we have all the information put out by FBI Director Wray, which I cannot wait until he gets replaced, where he has been saying that churches and synagogues are at significant risk of attack due to the call for ISIS to attack churches and synagogues. That's the information we've been putting out to you, that we've been documenting on our newsletters over at ChristianWarriorTraining.com. But the best the federal government can do right now is an ATF office out of Boston giving an alert because some BLM flags were burned. Seriously. This is where we're at, people. All right, look, we're going to be at severe risk of attacks, at least at that level of alert, until January 21st. If you want to know more about those alert levels, head on over to ChristianWarriorTraining.com. We explained it all and what you can do to protect your church. Most important thing to remember is to not listen to the ATF about closing down your church and restricting access to your church. To the contrary, your church should be open. Your church should be open for new followers to come find Christ and for your people to come worship. Do not turn your church into a bunker. You're just going to have to work a little bit harder. It'll be okay. We know that God's on our side. We've read the book and we know how it ends. All right. Do me a favor. I'd love to hear your comments on this. Are you as angry as I am about all the BS going on in the federal government? Can you not wait for Trump to take office? I'm loving his picks so far. They're just epic trolls that I see occurring that make me happy. Not going to lie. So let me know in the comments what you think. Remember, there's two things you can do when you leave here. Number one, pray unceasingly for the safety of yourself, your church, all your congregants, your family. Pray for your church staff. And then another important thing is to remember your ABCs. Always be caring.